Hello and welcome back to the Fairfield Future Famous podcast. I'm your host, Angelo Corsini, and I'm here with Tristan DeCrescenzo, aka DJ Tristan, better known on campus. He's a junior and he is a marketing major. Tristan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Happy to have you. Is there anything else that you would like the people at home to know about you as an intro before we begin?
I don't know. Middle child, I guess that honestly
Okay.
that plays a big role into my personality. I think the middle child is definitely a tough spot in the family. So I guess we could start off with that. But yeah, I got an older brother, a younger brother. Two of my best friends, obviously. They're great. And just loving family, but middle child of a loving family. So I come from a quote unquote harder place in the family, some might say, but no, just excited to be here and ready to talk about some of the career stuff that I got going on.
Awesome. So you're better known as DJ Tristan on campus. I think it's kind of like become your name.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did you start DJing? Why did you want to begin this career path, and what were some of your inspirations?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love talking about it, not in like a bragging way, of course. I think of myself as a humble guy, but just because, finding such a intense passion so early in your life is just it's truly incredible. And I really do hope that everybody that I know and even don't know will be able to find, their niche one day and really be able to thrive in that, because, this is something that I never thought, before I did it, I never thought I'd be involved in. I always loved music, but it was something that I never really saw myself realistically doing. And, here I am a couple of years down the line, pretty deep into it. And, my knowledge and experience on it is in places I never thought it would be. And I truly believe that, finding your passion and really doing something that you love, you never work a day in your life. Technically it's work for me, and I make money off some of the gigs that I do, but it's never work for me. And so, going back to the start, I've always loved music, big music guy. My bedroom was decorated like rock star theme as a kid.
Nice.
Like growing up, I had like
Nice.
guitars on the wall, like fake guitars, but like it was decorated all like that. I just always loved music. I loved the dancing. I loved everything. Fast forward to high school, obviously looking to get your first part-time job freshman year, sophomore year. And so sophomore year, I remember it's a funny story because I got invited to, like, it was like my first Sweet 16 ever, in New Jersey. They do a lot of Sweet 16s. And that's, a girl's 16th birthday. They have this big celebration. They rent out a venue. They get all their friends and family. And it was one of the first ones I went to. I don't remember if it was the first one, but it was definitely very early on, and when people started having them, as sophomores in high school. I remember her name was Sarah, really good friend of mine. So she had it at this like beach club venue, super cool. It was on the beach. It was indoors because this happened in January, or it was late January, I believe, or early February. It was right on the cusp, and I remember I went there, and, as a sophomore, like, you dress up for the first time, and like I had a couple of friends there, but I wasn't super close with everybody she was close with, so I didn't know too many people over there, and I was like, oh man, like it's kind of awkward, whatever. I don't know. I am an extrovert. I like to talk to people and whatnot, but I don't know. It felt kind of out of place for me at the time. I wasn't too friendly with all the people there.
I think we've all had an experience similar to that we can relate.
You just kind of keep to yourself, whatever. But I was optimistic. I was excited for the night. And I remember specifically, I ran into two guys, all black attire. They had black T-shirt, black jeans. It said Royal across their chest. I was like, who are these guys? They looked a couple years older than me, and like I said, extrovert, and I didn't know anybody else there, so I said, I got nothing to lose. I went up to these guys, and I was curious. I was asking them, like, oh, you guys work here? You guys clearly are part of some company. And they're like, yeah, we're part of Royal Entertainment. That's the Royal across our chest, and we're the entertainment company for the party tonight. And I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. So you guys, like, DJ, like, whatever, like, you MC. And they're like, oh, no, we're actually dancers. And we got a DJ and an MC here, but us two were dancers. So I got to know them throughout the night. It was Brian and Connor. I'm still very close with Brian to this day. I keep in contact with Connor a little bit, but he stopped working for the company. He's, big boy stuff. He's got his job going on. Brian also has his job going on, but he's still local. But yeah, I was talking to them, and I was like, what does that entail? Like, I was so confused. And he's like, we're pretty much like hype guys, hype men, like we amp up the crowd. We got a DJ playing music. We got an MC screaming in the microphone, whatever. But like, we're here dancing out here, and it's super great. And I was like, and you guys get paid for this? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. And I was like, does it get any better than that? Anyway, fast forward throughout the night. Like I said, at first I was, I needed to be loosened up a little bit, and I think that talking to them really helped me. Next thing you know, the second the music is playing and you hear that beat and you feel it through your feet,
the bass,
that rhymes. Yeah, the beat, you just feel it. Like I'm a sucker for like good sounding music, and especially like loud but crisp. Like I just love audio like that. And the second I felt that, I was like, all right, it's time to turn up. And I don't want to brag, but I was killing it on the dance floor. I was out there creating the circles. I was doing everything. It was fun. Like I said, I love to dance, and I just love to, have fun like that. And it was a great time. And make it long story short, end of the night, Brian and Connor come up to me. We take a picture, and Brian was like, yo, like, I'm going to give you the phone number to my boss. His name is Anthony. I want you to reach out because we have a position open to be a dancer at our company.
That's sick.
And I was like, oh, my God, the stars are aligning here. And so I was like, absolutely. Got the phone number. Following week, I text Anthony, and I say I met with Brian and Connor. You guys have, an amazing vibe to your company. He said that I could potentially be a dancer. I was wondering if you wanted to talk. He gets back to me, and he's like, sure, send me your Instagram, send me your email, like we could talk. Sent him all that stuff. Don't hear from him for a couple days. Then I get like deathly ill. And this is right before COVID happened.
I was going to say sophomore year for you is junior year for me. So
yeah.
This is right around then.
So it's like February of my sophomore year. And COVID happened in that March. So we're like right there. But
were you patient zero?
No, I don't think so. It was the flu, I believe. I got hit with something real bad. I was like really, really sick. And I remember I was kind of coming out of the illness, and I was feeling a lot better, but I didn't hear from Anthony, and then I get a call from him on like a Wednesday, and I answer the phone. I was like, hello, because I didn't have the number saved on my phone for some reason. Then he's like, hey, this is Anthony from Royal Entertainment. Are you free on Friday? And I was like, let me check. I put the phone on mute. I like run out of my room that I was like just chilling in because I wasn't feeling well. And I was like, Mom, what am I doing Friday? And she's like, I don't know. What are you doing Friday? I don't have your schedule. I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. I don't know why I thought I need to ask my mom, but I remember specifically like screaming, what am I doing Friday? And she's like, I don't know. But I wasn't doing anything. I mean, besides school, I was going to go back to school, I think, that Thursday because I was feeling, mostly up to it after coming off whatever illness I had. I'm pretty sure, like I said, it was a flu. But I unmuted the phone. I was like, nothing. I got nothing. I'm totally free. Why? What's going on? And he's like, oh, I was, like, we got a gig. We need a dancer. I could put you on it if you're still down for that. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great.
That's cool.
Meanwhile, like,
cool with me.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in my head, I'm like, exactly. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me right now. This is insane. So I was like, okay, whatever. Hung up the phone. And I was like, okay, Tristan, like, you need to lock in. You need to get better. I was better for the most part, but I was like, you need to be on the top of your game. Yeah. I'll say that. And so the next 2 days, I was like thinking, like, what is it gonna be? All this stuff. Long story short, he sends me the details for it. Show up to this place in Freehold, New Jersey, and it's just a great time. Brian was there, the guy that I met the first night.
Good. So you had somebody to kind of like, be your mentor.
Exactly. But other than that, I didn't know a single person there. And, he kind of talked to me about it and was like, listen, the one thing about this job is like, you probably will never see anybody in this room anymore after this night. So just put it all out there, have fun, be outgoing, make friends, talk to people, get them comfortable dancing because that's exactly what we're supposed to do. And so that's what I did. It was a great night. My boss called me back. He said, I heard great things from Brian and the other guys. Then he started putting me on as a dancer. Like I said, a hype guy, hype man for all these parties, mainly Sweet 16s. And I was 16 at the time, so I'm dancing with everybody my age.
Yeah.
Like I'm making friends. I'm having a great time. And yeah, like, like you said, Brian really was a great mentor, just kind of getting into that role. And even still today with the DJing stuff, because, then I get on a couple of gigs, and then March comes, COVID happens, everything shuts down.
Yeah.
There's no events, there's no parties. Whatever I was on for April or May, whatever was taken off because the parties were canceled, all that. And it sucked because it's like you just get your first real good job, and I was so excited about it, and then it just kind of shuts down, and I know a lot of people during that time especially had it way worse because there was a global pandemic going on, but still everybody's lives was affected individually, and I think that that was like the biggest letdown for me, was like, oh man, like that's tough,
Yeah.
whatever, I kind of was waiting for events to kind of keep, pick up again. Comes in junior year, late junior year. It was May of junior year, so it was more than a year. I got like
a year afterwards.
Yeah, more than a year afterwards, and I got the job. Like I had a couple gigs, and then it was like a year and like 2 months before I worked for them again. So it was a long time. Anyway, get put on a Sweet 16 again in Middletown, which is where I'm from. So it was convenient. It was close by. And that night, it was like divine intervention. I met this guy named Dylan, who I've spoke about on a couple other podcasts that I've done, and some other things that I've put on my LinkedIn and my DJ Instagram and stuff like that. This guy, Dylan's the main guy. Brian's 100% up there, and I love Brian, and I'll always be close with him. He's really great. But Dylan worked for Royal, does not work for Royal anymore. Worked for Royal at the time. Met him at this particular Sweet 16, my first one back, and we were just kind of talking, and he was the DJ, and I was like, oh, I'm super interested in this stuff, and he simply was just like, then why don't you do it? And for some reason, I don't know why, like, that was so powerful to me, but I was like, it was like a moment where I was like,
duh,
like, why don't I do it? But you never really feel like you can take that first step until you get that little push.
Yeah, sometimes you need that push. You need somebody to believe in you.
Yeah, and I never really thought of it like that, but I was like, maybe I should try it. Anyway, I take down his phone number. Him and I talk over the phone a little bit. He suggests some good beginner gear and whatnot, and yeah, I became a YouTube merchant. I would just watch YouTube video after YouTube video after YouTube video. I somehow convinced my parents that, with my own money, but they were ordering it off their Amazon account to get this beginner DJ board. Because usually, my mom or dad would be like, oh, you don't need that. You're never going to use that. You're not going to touch that. Don't waste, $200-300 on it. But I was like, no, like I'm serious about it. I want to try this. I know Dylan. Brian wasn't a DJ at the time. He began DJing a little bit later on as well, but he was like, I was like, Dylan is telling me about it. I watched a lot of YouTube videos on it. I want to actually see what I can do with it.
Did Dylan give you like some lessons, or
not
it was
anything
self-taught through YouTube?
It was mostly self-taught through YouTube. It wasn't anything with Dylan like on an individual level. Mostly it would be like if him and I were on a gig together, he would like be able to, he would point stuff out to me.
Yeah.
I would text him questions and stuff. But yeah, I got the beginner board at the end of my junior year, summer going into senior year, and it just became one of those things where it's like it didn't matter what I was doing or where I was or who I was with. All I was thinking about was DJing. I was just thinking about how can I get better, how can I get more creative with this, and honestly, part of me was like, how could I maybe make money from this? Because you learn a skill, and a lot of people think, oh yeah, it's cool, I could do this. This is a cool party trick, but like, it takes a certain switch in your mind to be like, there's a way to profit from this too.
Yeah.
And I think I learned that really early on, that like there's a lot of money in this industry, and I've seen it firsthand now.
You can sell out clubs, you can like do festivals.
100%. Like people will throw money at you to play music, and people will party and I got aux, and they'll play music for free. And yeah, maybe that's more downscale than, a party people would need a DJ at. But like people will pay you to play music. Like that is as bare bones as it gets. And yeah, obviously the skill of DJing, there's a lot involved. But in essence, that's what it is. And I said like, there's no better job. And so yeah, self-taught. My first official gig was, I believe it was August 7th going into my senior year. So it was right before my senior year started in August. It was like a backyard party. I had like the most basic stuff off Amazon. I had these cheap little speakers. I had my beginner board. I had these little lights. I had these business cards that I made. Like I got super serious into like trying to market myself.
Yeah.
And I look back at it now and I'm like, oh man, this setup looks horrible. But like
It's where you start. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere. So just a basic, simple backyard party. And since then, it was word of mouth. I got like 2-3 gigs just from that one basic backyard party I played for like 2 hours at. And then you go do those. And then they talk to you about other people.
Yeah.
Or talk to you
I've got
to
a
other
friend
people.
who has a birthday coming up.
Exactly. And it just kind of ended up snowballing into bigger things. And Dylan was right there, helping me through some of the questions that I had. I got closer with some of the other DJs at Royal. Brian was also starting to become a DJ. He became a DJ before me, but I was getting involved with him with questions and stuff like that, and it was really great to like. It was like kind of a two-way thing. Like one street of it per se was me figuring it out on my own, but the backbone of it, the other street, was I had this support group of all these great guys at Royal Entertainment who, if I had a question or a problem, I could contact them. And I think that those two really balanced each other out and allowed me to really elevate myself in just a short period of time, because by the end of my senior year and just that 1 year of doing like actually marketing myself as a DJ, and just that 1 year, my gear, went like the level of which my gear was at went up. I bought new things. My marketing skills kind of with it went up. And just kind of how I felt about it, I was gaining momentum pretty much. And that was kind of the start of it. And then obviously things get amplified when I came to college.
Yeah.
But those were the humble beginnings of the mid to late high school days, getting into that. But yeah, I look back and it's just I know the stars aligned, and I know I'm incredibly blessed for that to have happened to me, because without any of that, I would not be where I am now.
Yeah.
And
hey, but don't sell yourself short. I mean, a lot of that was you making the decision and putting the time and money and investing in this, and don't sell yourself short. You did a lot of work too. It wasn't just chance.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think just kind of running into the chance that me
that
getting
started
into it. Yeah. It was incredible, and I'll always look back on that in such a positive light, and obviously look at Dylan and Brian as big mentors for me, who really gave me such an amazing push ahead to really find the get the most potential out of me that I could at that time.
Good. So now you come off of that. You're coming to college. We're not in Jersey anymore. Okay.
No.
So how did you let the university know about your skills, about what you did, and how did you leverage that into being the man on campus where there's a university event, you're there, you just did Relay for Life, for the third time in a row. You're in the Mahoney Arena at many basketball games and things like that. How did you sell yourself to the university?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I honestly sold myself to the town before the university.
Okay.
And so I remember coming to school, deciding you're going to go to Fairfield. You start meeting some people online, Instagram, whatnot. And I wasn't like boasting like, oh, I'm a DJ. But, you start to talk to people and you try to get to know them. And
this is what I do.
Yeah, it was still relatively new for me. It was, the last year and a half is when I first started doing it. I was like, oh, I've been into this. They probably see on my Instagram that I'm into it. I at the time, obviously still had the DJ Instagram. And they saw that I was into it. And I want to say, we arrive at school in September of 2022. And I'm meeting a bunch of people. I recognize some people that I met online, but obviously majority I'm meeting mostly new people that I've never met before. And it was great. Like I said, I'm a social person. I was talking to everybody, just really trying to meet as many people as possible. And I want to say on like day 2 or 3, it gets to a point where I don't know how this happened, but gets to a point where I'm meeting people and, I walk up to people and I'll be like, hi, I'm Tristan. It's nice to meet you. And they'll look me in the eye and they'll be like, yeah, I know. And I'm like,
how? I've never met you before.
Exactly. And I don't say this in like a bragging, oh, everybody knows me way, but like it was a strange feeling because coming from high school, anybody who knows me in high school knows that I was, by no means like a popular kid. Like I was known. That's how I like to put it. I was known, but I wasn't like popular.
Yeah.
People knew who I was. I had an older brother who was very successful, Danny, who is doing his own thing now. Of course, he's into radio stuff, but he goes through as the first generation of the DeCrescenzos, and everybody knows him because he's very successful in everything that he does. And then the younger brother comes through. Oh, okay, we know him. I had obviously my close group of friends, but I wasn't like the one throwing the parties or really really going to the parties. But now you get to college and it's like
that was me too.
There's nothing wrong with it, trust me. But now you get to college and people are saying that they know you and you don't know them. It was a interesting feeling. And I didn't know how it was happening. I think word was just spreading like wildfire that there was a DJ on campus. And I think once you get to college, I think DJ is a trigger word for like, oh
party,
my God, party. Who is this?
This is the man.
Like, this is where
You're
the party's
man.
at. Yeah, exactly. But so I remember it was a funny story too. It was like the second or third day. Me and my good buddy Cooper, who I'm still very close with today, I met him at like Quad Fest, first day of school. We were walking back to my room in Gonzaga, and we're walking through the hallway of the second floor, and there's people everywhere, like in this on the second floor, just everywhere, like lined up against the wall talking. It's super loud, and I'm like trying to make my way through the people. I'm like, why is there so many people on my floor? Like abnormally large amounts of people. And I get all the way to my door, and once I get to my door, like the groupings of people just stop. Like the rest of the hallway, there's no people. It just stops where my door is. And I'm putting my key into the door, and I ask the person who's standing close to my door, I'm like, what the heck's going on? Like, why is everybody over here? And I remember she looks at me, she goes, we were waiting for you. I was like, me? For what? And she's like, somebody said that you were going to DJ in here and that there was like a dorm party and everybody wanted to come check it out. And I was like, who said that? Like, I did not plan this. Anyway, obviously, second, third day of school, whatever it was, I was like, yeah, come on in, let's do it. Like, Why not? I'm going to meet a bunch of people. So everybody comes in my room. And when I say everybody, it was like 50 people. But
hey, that's a lot. For Gonzaga? For a Gonzaga room?
Yeah, for a Gonzaga room. And I was like kind of like nervous because I was like, I don't want to get in trouble first day. Yeah, exactly. But I have like my little setup on like my, the wooden desks that the school gives you. And a bunch of people are kind of crowded around me, and they're like looking at it like, oh my gosh, like what is all this stuff? And I'm looking at it like, oh, this is just, I know what I'm supposed to do with this.
Mixer,
yeah, exactly. But a lot of people were interested, and I loved it because it wasn't like it wasn't like a look what I can do. It was people want to learn about this, and I am knowledgeable enough to actually teach them about it, and I kind of like that. I kind of like showing what I'm into to other people who are not. And so yeah, that was kind of how the first couple days went. But I marketed myself to the town in the sense that I remember reaching out to an account. It's at Fairfield County Parties, because that was like the main account that like follows everybody who's going to Fairfield, whatever. And they're the one who throws the parties like in New Haven or in the town, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I remember I DM'd them and was like, I saw I got a follow from you. I'm just letting you know, like, I'm a DJ. I wasn't expecting them to even respond, but I was like, if you ever need a DJ, like, I would love to like talk to you about, maybe getting any sort of bookings, whatever.
Yeah.
And they replied pretty fast, and they were like, yeah, like, that's why we followed you. We want to, maybe we'll set something up when you come to campus. And I was like, oh, okay, sweet. And it was the first week on campus. I got a message from one of the guys whose phone numbers I got through that, and they were like, oh, can you DJ on Thursday? I was like, already? Thursday? It's Tuesday. Like, I just got here. And they're like, yeah, there's a place in New Haven. And
so
obviously,
it really was like immediately.
It really was a hit the ground running, and a lot was happening at the same time. But I have a blessing and a curse that I like to say, that I'm addicted to opportunity. I've said this before, and it's just...
That's in your LinkedIn bio.
It's in my LinkedIn bio, exactly. I can't say no. Like, I can't say... That's always been me, but it becomes more apparent when there's so much being thrown at me, and I just keep saying, yeah, and then I have so much on my plate. But it's so hard for me to say no because I love it because I always think, like, I have so much going on, but if I did this, like,
It would be pretty cool.
it would be cool.
It
And
could
even
be.
if it's not, like, cool, like, maybe I meet someone or, maybe
Networking.
something happens. Yeah, exactly. So I always hate to miss out on an opportunity if I'm presented one. So everything's coming at me so fast. I'm saying yes, 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 yes. I DJ at this place. It was called Vibes on Orange. I don't even know if it's still open, to be honest with you, but it was a place in New Haven. A couple people came first night. I had a great time. I thought this was the greatest thing in the world. I was like, oh my God, I played at like a quote unquote club. It's a restaurant that turns into like,
Yeah.
dance club at night. Thought it was the greatest thing in the world. A couple people came the first week. Second week, they're like, you want to come back and do it again? Heck yeah, let's do it. My schedule freshman year didn't have any Friday classes, so Thursday night was not a problem for me. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Second week, more people came. Third week, more people came. Fourth week, next thing you know, I'm like, it's like mid-October, close to Halloween, and I've been doing this place, Vibes on Orange, consistently every Thursday, and the crowd keeps doubling, tripling, quadrupling, and next thing you know, there's 500-600 people in there.
That's crazy.
And the most people I played for before that was probably a backyard birthday party for like 50 people.
Yeah.
And it wasn't too scary because I was confident in my skills that I knew what I was doing, but at the same time it was definitely it got like to a point where I would be overwhelmed sometimes just because of the sheer amount of people. Not because of like, oh, I don't have enough music or I'm not playing what people like. I generally had a good idea of what I should be doing, and I guess people kept coming back, so I guess people were having a good time, and that's all that matters. But there was just a lot of people. But it was really fun. I mean, I was partying on Thursday nights. And when I say partying, I mean I'm technically working. I'm locked in. I'm talking to some people, sure, but I'm working. I'm the one running the party. I have no problem, shutting down my socialization for the night just to make sure other people have a good time. I have no problem doing that. It's my job. But it was really fun. No complaints. Had a great time. I think that's how it amplified that word spreading like wildfire, that I was actually doing something, not just playing it in my dorm room. Like I was actually playing somewhere where a lot of the freshmen would go. And then for the arena, I got involved with the women's basketball team as a practice player. Still do that now. It's one of my favorite things that I do. And it worked out funny this way too, that I'm practicing with the women and other scout guys. I'm going to these practices. The Leo D. Mahoney opens up, so they start practicing in the arena, and it's first year open, so like we're all in there practicing. It just opened. We're like, wow, this is amazing. And then one of the assistant coaches was like, oh, I know, head of operations for the arena, and since it's new, they're looking for someone to handle the music in the arena for the home games. And I said, oh, one of my scout guys is a DJ. Maybe he can help you out. And he's like, do you want me to send her your number? And of course, I can't say no. And that already sounds like an amazing opportunity. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Send her my number, 100%. And so I get a text a day or two later. Hi, this is Sarah. Sarah Ratchford works in the arena. She's amazing. She was like, you want to come in and test like your board with our sound system? We could play with some of the volume levels and stuff to make sure that for our home games that start in November in a couple weeks, we could be set and you could play music at them. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So got into that. Being in the arena is another thing that's just one of my favorite things. Like, I love basketball. Obviously, I play with the women's team, but I also love watching it. And it's like to be able to, for free, kind of get like those front row seats pretty much. I'm right there to get those seats and do what I love at the same time, which is playing music. Like, it's a slam dunk, no pun intended. But I didn't even plan that. But yeah, just another thing that really just kind of worked out. Like, freshman year was a lot, but a lot of good. I'll say that. And it was one of those things where, I would kind of think to myself, like, I made the right choice of school because so much opportunity is being presented to me. And, being the type of person I am, I'm taking it all in, and I'm balancing my schoolwork still, of course. I would always talk with my dad on the phone, and he'd be like, oh, that sounds great, but remember schoolwork first. And I would stay on top of it. And I've just been, I loved it, and I still do. Like I said, I still DJ in the arena for those games. It's amazing. I got into learning how to read the scripts for the games, and Just been able to watch the team that I play with, the women's team, but also the men's team, have such successful years the last couple of years that we've been here, and just really help the Leo D. Mahoney Arena amplify its in-house experience with, it just being opening the last couple of years. It's been a blessing once again. And everybody that works in there too, it's an amazing atmosphere. I never complain when I have a home game. I love going to those. Those are very fun for me.
Yeah, for sure. Now we're kind of burying the lead a little bit because the FUSA concert they have a big concert each year.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't popped off the last 2 years, 2 Chainz and Zara Larsson.
Yeah.
And kind of a flop. But before that, we had Metro Boomin, and you got to open for him.
Yeah.
That was so cool. And people say this was really the DJ Tristan concert featuring Metro Boomin because apparently he did like 45 minutes and then peaced out. But you were up there hyping up the crowd the entire time. How did that opportunity come about?
Yeah, so that was just another thing freshman year that just worked out perfectly. And that was the way that my freshman year kind of ended. That was like the last gig I had.
That's great. That's a great cap off to your first year.
An unbelievable ending to an unbelievable first year, absolutely. But obviously that's all ran through FUSA. At the time, I was not in FUSA. I'm in FUSA now, marketing intern. And FUSA's great, but at the time I was not involved. And I remember they announced the concert, and everybody was like hyped, like Metro Boomin, this is great. And I was excited for it. But I remember thinking to myself, like, my first thought was like, how can I get involved with this? And it's right in my wheelhouse. It's music. It's a concert. And so I was like, you know what? It can't hurt to reach out and see if I could get involved. I know I'm not part of FUSA, but it can't hurt. Maybe one of the people in FUSA knows that I work for the school in the arena or whatever. So maybe they'll be like, oh yeah, he's done stuff for the school. He can help out. But that's another thing. Like on a side note, like that's just kind of how you have to go about things. You just got to be like, it can't hurt,
Exactly. I tell people this all the time. Never be afraid to put yourself out there and just ask for something, because people like to help other people out. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And if they don't know that this is an opportunity you're looking for, or that this is something that you're interested in, they might not think to like share that there's something open or that they can help you out in some way. But if you just let them know, they'll be like, of course,
Yeah, totally.
Like, here you go. And many times it is ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, that's definitely the way to go about it. And that was how I went about majority of my freshman year. Like I said, some things kind of came to me, and there were opportunities I made sure that I pounced on. But there are other things that you got to go out and get your own by yourself. But this was one where I was like, it can't hurt. So I remember reaching out. We had a couple meetings about it. They responded to me. We had a couple meetings about it, and they seemed on board from the start, to be honest. I went into that first meeting, and they all knew who I was, and I didn't know a single person in there, maybe like 1 or 2 people. And that was another thing where it's like, oh, wow, like that was a cool moment for me. I was like,
it's great for Fairfield to say like, hey, one of our students opened for this big time producer.
Yeah, that was I think that was one of the reasons why they were interested in having this happen. I think the amphitheater also was like, oh, if you have a student opener, we'll take that too. So I think it was a combination of FUSA and the venue being like, this would be a good idea. And I think it was just right place, right time. I put myself out there, like you said. I asked, and we had a couple meetings about it. They made sure, some logistic things were good. And next thing you know, I'm getting emails from Metro's manager telling me like information on the event, and making sure that I don't play any songs that he's gonna sing, and timing, and going through the back of the amphitheater to make sure I'm in a certain place at a certain time. Like it was a big thing for me, and just there's plenty to talk about that event. It was amazing, but at the same time, it was one of those things where it's like you're so looking forward to it, but just things start to like not go wrong, but like not go the way you had planned, and you kind of start to freak out a little bit. And I'll tell you what I mean. It was like a couple days before it, and I remember I got a really, really, really bad left ear infection.
Ooh.
Like bad to the point where like I couldn't hear out of my left ear. And obviously hearing is very
Important for a music career.
Important.
Yes.
And it was just a bad infection. Like my ear felt like it was blocked. It had water in it. That's what it felt like. It was just, I don't know how it got infected, but stuff like that happens, and and I was like, oh man. And obviously I was still going to be okay to do it. Like that's different than being like ill, obviously. And, thankfully I wasn't, but it was one of those like, oh, this is annoying type things. And then during the event, I had said this before at some point as well, but like I had a certain set list planned, like not pre-record. Of course, I was going to mix it live up there, but you prepare some of the tracks you want to play, and some of them were streamed. Not all of them were downloaded, which is a mistake that I know better now. If I were to do something like that, it would be different, but.
Because of like service issues and
there was like
that.
Wi-Fi issues, and so the stream tracks had a harder time being loaded into the software that I use, so I couldn't use all the songs that I planned, and most of the ones I was excited about were streamed. So it got to a point where I just couldn't use them, and then also the fact that I went maybe almost an hour longer than I was supposed to because Metro, was in no rush to
that was
get
not
out
your
there.
fault.
Yeah, they told me the time I was supposed to end, and they were like, oh, just turn, over your left shoulder, and Metro's manager will be standing there. He'll give you a signal when Metro's ready, and you could say this is your last song. And I remember, like, the time came, looked over. He's like, no, keep going. Okay, 10 minutes go by, turn around. No, keep going. Same thing. And for like an hour, and then eventually he was like, okay, you're good. So that last hour, I was not necessarily, quote unquote, prepared for.
You're improvising.
And you know what? That's part of the job. There's been plenty of times where you just got to improvise. And honestly, most of the job is improvising because
you have to react to the vibe. You got to take requests and things like that.
So you're working on the fly. And so this was not something necessarily new, but for such a big gig that like I really was looking forward to, it was definitely something where it's like, okay, I need to like kind of lock in and be like, let me make sure. But yeah, it was amazing, and I ended up meeting him, got an autograph, we took a cool picture.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Did he like give you any advice or like?
Not necessarily advice, but it was very nice. He did compliment me because in the back of the amphitheater they have like speakers, and you could hear what's being played through like their actual amphitheater speakers. So he was in the back hearing what I was playing, in like the room speakers, like the regular room speakers, and he comes out and he was like, was that you out there? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, man, you're pretty good. That sounded really good. And I was like, oh, thank you. So yeah, we just talked for a couple minutes, took a quick picture, got a quick autograph. Super, super nice guy. Very religious too. He actually, did like a prayer before he went out. I did not know that about him. But yeah, super great experience. I couldn't thank Fusa enough for it. And yeah, just something I'll never forget. Even though some things with the music and whatnot may have been a little bit different than I originally predicted, still an amazing time and something I'll never forget and I'll forever be grateful for sure.
So DJing, it's way more than just putting on a playlist, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about like what it takes to be a DJ, or some tips of like getting the crowd hype, being engaging, emceeing. What are some of the things to keep in mind when you're up there on stage playing for people?
Absolutely. The first thing you got to keep in mind, the number one thing is the people you're playing for. You know, I feel like a lot of DJs fall into that trap where it's all about me. It's not all about you. You can't, even if you go an entire party playing none of the songs you like, you can't be upset about that because you're playing for the crowd. You're not playing for yourself.
You have to know your audience. It's like a number one thing that, media companies, political candidates, whatever you're doing, you need to know the people that you're doing it for and what they're going to respond to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And that's kind of how it works. You could have a really, really, really skilled DJ. Like he knows his way around the board like the back of his hand. But if he's playing songs either nobody knows or nobody's really interested in, like it's not a good vibe, people will look at him and be like, he's a horrible DJ.
Yeah.
Well, he's not a horrible DJ. He's really, really skilled, but he's just not playing what you want to hear. So I think when you realize that the majority of the job is servicing other people's needs and wants, that is more than half the battle already. So the people is definitely number one. And it's a big part of the job to read the crowd too, because people will, maybe you'll test out something like, oh, let's say I'm going to play a house track. And, if the audience is really into it, you'll be able to tell they're dancing, they're having a good time, they're screaming, oh, I love this song. But if they're not, then they kind of die. Maybe people leave the dance floor.
They die.
Well,
I know.
It dies down.
I know.
It dies down. They don't die. Nobody dies at my parties. But they, you could just tell. So reading the crowd is incredibly important. So it's important to also to go into the party knowing like, okay, this is what the vibe is probably going to be. But also like, okay, if I need to make a halftime speech, mid-game switch, we can. So that's definitely number one. And I think something else is just energy and being outgoing. I think that DJing would be a lot harder for an introvert than an extrovert. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it would be a lot harder.
Yeah.
I like to talk to people. I like to be high energy. I like to really put myself out there. And just have a good time with people. I think that's another thing. Like DJs might get away from the fact that they're supposed to be having fun too. If you're not having fun, and there's times you got to lock in. You got to like kind of block everything out. But if you're not having fun, nobody else is having fun, and that's kind of like a rule of thumb. So I try and balance the work and make sure it's skilled and good, but also like engage yourself, engage with the crowd. Maybe I'm standing in one spot, maybe I can't leave the booth, but I'm on the microphone, I'm talking to people, I'm hyping them up, saying like 3, 2, saying all that stuff, like get really high energy, like pretending as if I'm out there, with somebody in the middle of the mosh pit going crazy, even though I'm outside of it. So I think that's definitely a big part of it. And of course, there's the skillfulness of actually knowing what you're doing.
How to transition between songs.
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. Because as much as a lot of people might think, DJing's more than pressing play and hitting the next song button.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it. And I don't think people realize that until like maybe they look at a board or try and actually do it, and they're like, oh wait, like this makes no sense.
And you have to know the music too. Like if you know when the beat drops are coming and things like that.
Yeah, there's definitely a good amount of music theory involved. And I think I kind of learned about this, obviously teaching myself, but over the summer, last summer and this upcoming summer, I'll be doing it again. I taught DJ lessons at a local guitar center. And so what I see through those students is like where they have the biggest disconnect, like where it's hard for the average person who's never seen this to really put 2 and 2 together and make 4. And obviously it's my job to teach them, which, I had a great experience doing it. That's why I'm coming back. I had a lot of great students, but I think that experience also shows me like what's the hardest for people to grasp. And I think the music theory, like understanding the music and understanding, things like tempo and stuff like that is really the biggest area. Yeah, it's the biggest hurdle for sure. But there's definitely ways to really teach yourself and to really feel that rhythm. And a lot of the students really pick up on it quick, which is good. And I love teaching them about it because I'm sharing the gift that made my life so great to other people. And I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm not a gatekeeping DJ. If you need music, I'll give you music. If you need tips, I'll give you tips. I'm not gonna gatekeep. None of my mentors kept anything from me, and so it's only right to kind of share that gift. But yeah, there's definitely a couple of factors that you need to keep in consideration when out there. But yeah, just I would say have fun, high energy. Remember you're playing for others, not yourself. And yeah, just play music loud. That's all I can say. I love music loud.
So when you maybe see a problem or you see that like you're losing the crowd a little bit, something like that, are there some old reliable songs that you could turn to and know like, oh, this is gonna win them back?
Yeah, I definitely have a playlist. I'll put it this way. I'd be lying if I said I did not have a playlist in my Serato software that is not like party bangers or like go-tos or your party classics, whatever it's called. But yeah, there's definitely definitely a few. It depends on the age group.
Yes.
It depends on if you're at a bar, if you're at a wedding, or if you're at a 5-year-old birthday party, but
what's the banger at the 5-year-old birthday party?
Oh my god, I don't even know what I would say. I would probably say like
Gummy Bear.
no,
Do kids still listen to
no, not Gummy Bear. Probably I feel like a lot of kids really like Chapel Roan these days. They'll sing Hot
Pink
to
Pony
Go,
Club,
but
Hot
yeah.
to Go.
But I feel like if you're gonna go for one that everybody has known, I feel like
The chicken dance has got to slap.
yeah. I can't say I
For
play
a
the chicken dance.
5-year-old?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the 5-year-olds, like I play like Boom Boom Pow, Black Eyed Peas, and they know it.
Yeah,
like they
yeah,
know
yeah.
how to sing that. You know what I mean? Like something simple like that. Give Me Everything, Pitbull. That that's another anything Pitbull. You're gonna get some sort of reaction. But yeah, there's definitely some go-tos, and that's how you kind of revive the dance floor. Honestly, there's not necessarily something you can say or do besides switch up the vibe, and you gotta be on your toes because it could switch within one song in 30 seconds. So you
Yeah.
gotta be ready.
Or I guess like a more like normal crowd, Sweet Caroline. I mean,
Sweet
that's got to
Caroline,
be-
No Hands. I
Mhm.
mean, like the second you turn on, you just know. Like I know before I drop that in, like people are gonna
yeah.
like there's gonna be some heads turning and being like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So they're just classics, But it's one of my favorite parts too, just being able to like know like, oh, this one's gonna be good because I know obviously the next song ahead of time before the crowd does, and it's just like you mix it in, and it's just when you get that reaction that you knew you were gonna get, it's like
Yeah.
unbelievable. You start playing like Clarity by Zed, and people start screaming their heads off, and it's like this is what it's all about right now. This is what it's all about.
Yeah. So turning things into the future, what are your future plans? Yeah, I mean, you've got a great thing going on with the DJs. Is this what you want to do, like for your life, like your career?
Absolutely. I know I've been saying absolutely a lot, but you've been spot on. Like I would love to do this for a career. How realistic it is, that's what comes into question. Not because, you have to be a certain someone to make it, but just because there's just I don't know. I feel like it's really, really tough to become a quote unquote famous DJ.
Yeah.
To become a famous DJ, you're not actually a DJ, you're a producer.
Mhm.
Think about any famous DJ they make songs, their own songs. You're not going to get anywhere remixing. You're not going to get, not that you won't get anywhere. There's a ceiling for that. So I think if I want to take it to the next step, to the next level, I got to start making my own music. And I have started to dabble in production a little bit, just mostly remixes, creating instrumentals and throwing, already, EQ'd vocals over it from songs that everybody knows and whatnot. But it's just, yeah, you got to become a producer if you want to be that next level festival DJ. But there's other career outs for it. There's people who make a living off of being the arena DJ at Madison Square Garden, like in an arena, similar to what I do here. So there's other careers you could get out of it without breaching that ceiling of, going crazy into production. But I would love to do this one day as a career. If, the opportunity was presented to me. I understand that it's not necessarily the most realistic option. If I went to my parents and said I went to 4 years of college for marketing and graphic design, but I'm going to be a DJ for the rest of my life, obviously they might have some questions on the logistics of.
But you can use what you learned in school to market yourself.
Yeah, 100%. That's 100%, and that's honestly why I got into marketing and graphic design. DJing and marketing myself kind of got me into that. But yeah, I would really love to. I understand once again that it is pretty tough to kind of find that spot in the industry.
Anywhere in the entertainment industry is hard to break into. I'm an actor. I'm finding that too, just applying for production, media jobs, things like that.
Yeah, you just kind of find it's tough, especially a DJ. Some of the famous DJs might have like a media team and whatnot, but like you're a one-man show, you're a one-man show. Same with acting. Like you come by yourself, you have your own skills. You're not with like a team.
Yeah.
So that's another thing too, but I'm really into marketing. That's my major right now. I'm doing this upcoming summer. I'm doing a social media marketing internship with a company named Honeyball. Last summer, I did something similar with a company named Bauer Entertainment Marketing.
Mm-hmm.
The social media marketing has been an area of interest for me that I've been doing these internships in and have been finding a lot of joy in. And so if it comes to that for a career, I would have no problem with that. But in terms of the whole DJ thing, it's either going to be my all, but it's never going to be my nothing.
I like that.
Yeah, it'll always be something that I do, on the weekends or just kind of a side gig.
Yeah.
I record mixes for, schools and universities that I throw on SoundCloud. Like I'll always do that. That's not in front of a live crowd. I just record it, I post it, people will reach out to me for those. Like that is always something, no matter what I'm doing, I can do that
Mm-hmm.
and I can make money, or I can just put myself out there and do it for fun. So it'll always be around. I'll always be doing it. I've already decided my kids are going to be DJs. I'm just playing. I'll give them the choice, but I'll introduce it to them, of course. But it'll always be around, whether it's a side gig or a main gig. But I wouldn't hesitate to go down that path if the opportunity presented itself to me.
And I have to imagine you're way ahead of the curve on this. I can't think of many people who find this passion, so early in life and have taken the steps to pursue it and have already gone so far as you have.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Experience is a large piece of the puzzle, and I think you have that on lock. But I understand that opportunities they're difficult to find, but when you find them, you take them.
You find them, you take them. Yeah, I would say that's my biggest piece of advice from anything that I've learned in the last. I still have so much more to learn, but between anything that I've learned in the last couple of years, engaging in this whole DJ journey and career and whatnot, that would be my biggest piece of advice. Is no matter what it is, no matter what you're doing, no matter what path you're going down, like be somebody who doesn't say no. And like, of course, if you have to say no for logistical reasons, yes, but like be difficult saying no. Like have that hurt you saying no.
Yeah.
You just got to take things and go with it, Like there's so many things that could have gotten in the way where I could have stopped or, I could have dropped off with it, but you just got to.
You could have said, no, I have the flu right now. Sorry,
Yeah.
Royal.
Yeah, you get opportunities that come to you. You just got to say yes, and you just got to do it, and things will work out. Things will work out, and even if it's an experience that maybe didn't go so positively, you can say you did it.
And you learn from it too.
And you learn. Yeah, everything's a learning experience. It's either a blessing or a lesson. You know what I mean? So
I like that as well. I think that is the perfect note to leave us off on. Tristan, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
Where
you.
can people find you? Do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, let's plug. I got a DJ Instagram at Tristan DJs. On SoundCloud, I've got a SoundCloud once again at Tristan DJs or DJ Tristan. I'm not sure how it comes up when you search on SoundCloud, but I post a lot of mixes on there. But yeah, go follow the Instagram. Go check out the SoundCloud if you're into some high intensity, high energy mixes, and yeah, that's what I would plug.
Right on. Thank you so much. Well, you have been listening to the Fairfield Future Famous podcast. I've been your host, Angelo Corsini. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Have a great night.
Boom.
Goodbye.